All right, everybody. Welcome to the Spy Party cast. Joining me today is Warning Track and Opie Writes as your casters. I'm your host Ish, and today we've got an awesome matchup for the tournament of placement between Wodar and Jake. You guys have anything to say about the background of the match?
Yeah. This is one of the round two matches. And today's match specifically is Wodar from Gold Division, who is the #1 seed in the tournament, against Jake Armstrong, the champion of Challenger. Wodar lost, of course, his first match to Jake's Challenger colleague, Tabsies. So he's just playing Gatekeeper from here on out, but he's done that before for my own placements back in Season 2, as a matter of fact, and he's a scary Gatekeeper. But on the other hand, there's an awful lot at stake for Jake, who can climb the SL ranks with just a couple of well-timed wins right now.
Yeah, with a loss in the first round, you can't climb any higher than bronze. However, you still can make bronze with 3 wins in a row after the first round. So Jake is really looking for that big jump from challenger straight to bronze.
Yeah, and let's get into those picks and bans and see where they're going to be having this match.
All right, to start, we had a ban on Ballroom by Wodar,
Okay.
Ballroom band?
and Jake followed up with a ban on Tan. Actually, the bans are not showing up. Not quite sure why. I'll see if I can fix that. I'll just give you the bans in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
The first pick we had was Balcony by Wodar for the double map.
This makes
Shocker.
this surprises literally nobody.
And then Jake ends up picking Courtyard.
That's a little bit more surprising.
For his double map. I mean, Wodar is a big fan of that. Wodar picked Aquarium next for his first single map.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jake picked Pub. And to round it off, Wodar picked Modern. And then Jake finished off with, I believe it was Gallery.
Correct. Yeah, looks like Gallery, and there are some strange picks from Wodar here. Certainly mixing it up maybe after that loss to the other challenger player there. He's found these challengers challenging, and it's kind of time to mix it up, I guess. Except of course for Balcony, which is a mainstay for Wodar, and that's where we're going to start off the match tonight. I am ready when you gentlemen are.
Yeah, I'm good to go. I see Wodar on balcony as Smallman to start us off.
Oh boy.
All right. One of you count it in?
Sure. Starting in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Wodar starting off a small man, has an early bug opportunity, elects not to take it. Probably wise. I've seen Jake catch early bugs. There is going to be an early banana bread, though. It's a green immediately, and in 10 seconds, we've got one mission done.
Yeah, and that's the kind of contact at the beginning of the game where you think, hey, did someone bug? Are they trying to get this mission win really, really quick? But the problem with thinking that right now is that that contact was perfect. There was nobody out, so you take the contact anyways as a spy, even if you don't have the bug. So that normal level of thinking, okay, this might be a bug game, is out the window.
Not only that, but you're one of the people most likely to have bugged in the early rush, so you're more likely to get yourself shot. Frankly, if you were not Smallman, I'd like to move a lot more. Maybe Smallman gets shot instead, but in this case, it's more risky than not. An attempted flirt at the windows does not go through, but we get a white next there to Kane, 34%. There's a minute left. We still have time to finish, but it's going to be a lot closer, and somebody's going to have to move.
Well, we don't necessarily have to move if a timer flirt happens and we get 2 more, but that would be really just be perfect timing. And it, the sniper is looking for that kind of timing on balcony of the 45 seconds into 45 seconds talks, where it looks pretty obvious that that's a flirt. So that would almost certainly get Wodar shot. Luckily, our ST just kind of helps us out there.
Yeah, Kane walks away and nobody else moves, which means there's still only one spot left in the conversation. It's the same one they had before. Wodar follows up the white flirt with a green instead and is not going to waste any time with only 30 seconds left. He's going to go to the window, and he's probably going to try to fit in here next to the double agent to get a less suspicious third flirt off. And I don't think he's much of a suspect either because of that perfect banana bread. And if he can time this right, he's only going to wait a second or two. This timing on the talk is a little suspicious, but there's no indication a shot's going to come off. Few seconds left. The laser's over him. Innocent drink take. Wodar wins a really clean game. Perfect banana bread at the start. The green helps. It means he doesn't have to flirt near his ST at the end. Just looked like nobody, frankly, was a suspect that game. 1-0 Wodar. That's why he's a dangerous gatekeeper.
Yeah, and Wodar there in that game actually stop talked twice. And on balcony, you usually can't get away with that, but Smallman is sneaky, even on the venue where you can just see everything. So those stop talks getting by Jake and being able to get away with those flirts for basically free.
Yeah, that mouth is not at eye level, and it makes it all the harder to see when you stop using it. We're going to move on now. Jake is playing Bling Twin, and he's down 1-0 already. Let's start it off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, it really cannot be overstated how much this is a big comfort pick for Wodar. The Tayen ban from Jake makes sense. It's been a pick that Wodar's been using a lot if it goes unbanned. Usually Balcony is the ban, or has been the ban in gold so far. So,
Yep.
But
Distinctly
Wodar,
uncomfortable is the position we have with our seduction target, who has made themselves, let's just say, very easy to seduce, and it is a green test right away, 51%. That'll help, and despite getting a highlight along with them, they get bumped back down to neutral after a moment, so Wodar decides maybe that's not that suspicious, but as so often the case, that early pile-up in conversation does involve the spy. The ST leaves, however, and if they come back near us, Jake has a chance to 2-flirt here, and that's going to be awfully hard to shoot for, white BB or not, even against Wodar, famous for shooting for talks during BB on balcony.
yeah, and look at that pile up at windows. A lot of AIs going there that might look pretty suspicious to the sniper, thinking, hey, well, we don't see a shot for the white contact that just happened, but we do see a low light brought right back up to a highlight.
Yeah, we go with the BB first because the seduction target's not next to us, so we have not flirted yet. Generally speaking, you get a pile up at windows, greatly increases the possibility of a sieve shot because any of them could have been flirting with any of the others, can really mess up those flirt pairings if you have them. Jake looks like he kind of wants to save this talk and only talk one more time. I have to imagine he's going to try to follow to windows here. It would be very powerful. He could hit it, but no, he's not going, not taking the opportunity. And he's not going to have his ST come in next to him because there's no room. He's going to have to move. I'm not sure what the plan is here. He's going to be banking on a green, and he's going to have to leave for it. Is he actually thinking about bugging? No, he's going to leave the conversation and go right back in. No briefcase shenanigans. And it's a white, 85%. He didn't get it. He banked the whole game on that green, did the risky thing, and it didn't take, and now he's going to have to run, and the laser's over him anyway. Wodar assumes 2 greens on the flirts, shoots the right person with that aggressive shot.
Yeah, and the path there was pretty telling, honestly. There was no kind of any redirect. You can't go from conversation to the exact same conversation in a different spot without a redirect. And Wodar just really did not like that path. And Jake gets shot for what could have been a 2-flirt in a 3-green game.
Yeah, and in this case, probably didn't swing the outcome because, as we know, he was betting on the green and did not hit it, even if Wodar didn't have reason to shoot, although I'm impressed that he did. I think that game was lost when he didn't go to windows there, hits the green, it's almost certainly game over, hits a white, and he still got a distant flirt for the third. Would have been just fine, but instead, Wodar making the most of his venue pick, up 2-0, just like that, and now he's going to play as Walt Disney, pencil stash, in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Another early bug opportunity for Wodar. Once again, does not take it, but he is going to take this flirt opportunity at windows, and it's just going to be a white, but boy, that's still powerful at the start of any balcony game.
And we're not actually the one that picks up the highlight, it's Plain Twin who does. Maybe it's just trying to differentiate the 2 twins that are in this venue, both twins, around, so some people do like to do that. That's kind of a wide open bug.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super visible because there's another character with a black suit kind of in our general visual range, but my guess is Jake might have seen that and is just waiting for an actual reason to shoot. Highlight might have also been because Wodar sipped, I believe, very quickly afterwards, and maybe it was just quick enough to convince him he couldn't have flirted. Whatever the reason, I think Twin Highlight's probably right. The bug has taken, by the way, the contact has gone off. We don't need the seduce, and there's no shot coming off. Wodar, right out of the gate, 3-0 on balcony. He is a scary man sometimes.
Yeah, and this is the power of that comfort pick. Wodar has so much experience, loves this venue, and even if he weren't doing as well as he is right now, that's really good for your mentality going into this match.
Yeah, and being a gatekeeper, certainly, depending on your mindset, sometimes you need that edge, you need that pressure, you need that tension, but other people play better relaxed. So Wodar on a comfort pick, not actually playing for anything other than pride rather than position, unlike Jake, but whatever it is, he's playing it really, really well right now, and he's got a huge lead early on. Jake suddenly spying his general, trying to avoid a sweep on Wodar's doubled pick in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and it's good to remind everybody that because Wodar is the higher seed, does win at 8 points while Jake needs 9, so that just kind of, forces this early lead to look even more devastating for Jake. Needs a lot to come back from it. You need to, one, convert a win back over probably on your pick right here and then on your pick, and then you need to get an advantage elsewhere after that.
Yep, Wodar starts with that tiebreaker advantage, and it can be really big even in a longer set, and absolutely devastating, as you said, with a 3-0 lead already. We have basically a perfect banana bread early on, but nothing since. The ST is not that close, and Jake has elected, just like last time, not to take the cheap flirt, at least for a while. The ST doesn't leave and eventually decides, you know what, I'm not going to take the perfect flirt. I'm just going to take what I can get, maybe learning from that previous game. It is a green 45%. That'll help a little bit, but he's still going to have to 3-flirt. I think this is at least a better move, though, than the previous game where he only wanted those really close ones.
Yeah, but we're still going to look for at least 2 more flirts, and we've only got a minute left, so that means we might have to end up moving unless our cooldown happens before 45 seconds, and even then, we would be guaranteed an overtime if we didn't move at all. So Jake looking to maybe get an AI shot here.
Yeah, Jake does induce a higher number of ship shots than Challenger. It's a little under half his total games as Spy, for example, and that's what's going to happen here. Wodar lets Jake back into the match, possibly saves him from being swept here by shooting Salmon instead, and we can tell from that mission progress there, 45%, 2 flirts needed, 33 seconds left. He was not in a good position to finish at all, was he, Opie?
Yeah, no. And that's so what's so difficult about balconies, because you kind of have to guess, okay, is this is this player I'm playing against, not just the character, but the player, are they actually trying to finish? And they're not always. That's the thing. And Wodar knows this, but still, unfortunately, takes the shot and is wrong this time around.
Yep, the intuition, it can be a blessing and a curse. Wodar, in particular, I would say, seems to pick one thing or another to fixate on a sniper, suddenly moving from one to the other. It means a lot of impressive, intuitive shots that seem to come out of nowhere from Wodar, but it also means a lot of big misses on hardtails or other outright mistakes sometimes. Point to forehead, the spy can't predict your sniper if even you don't know what you're going to do, and with Wodar, you never know what to expect, and that makes him capable of both huge upsets, but also very vulnerable to them, which might be good news for newcomer Jake. Let's see what happens on Courtyard now. Wodar spying his green dress. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Starting off anything faster again, but now once more, wisely probably not taking the bug. Anyways, this is a very surprising venue pick to me, just because it's Wodar's basically second in command pick. If one of Tayen or Balcony is banned, you pick the other one, and then you pick Courtyard for Wodar, and that's basically everything he picks. So Jake opting into a doubled set of Courtyard is very surprising. It's a comfort pick for Wodar again, and we saw how that worked out for him last time. But maybe Jake thinks he's got something that he can do.
Well, it might be a comfort pick for him. Might just be a very straightforward sniper map. His rates on it are fine. Nothing to write home about, but he does win over 2/3 of his spy games, and he played 44 games of Courtyard. That's about twice about what he played on anything else, so it's something he's very familiar with. There's a banana bread. It's a pretty darn good one, and he's going to split shortly afterwards, and most of that, I think, was behind the statue. Not going to earn a low light for it. Highlight for statue visit instead. Pretty standard, though, but the seduce is almost done.
Yeah, Wodar could theoretically perhaps just go for a swap here, finish that flirt, and force a shot, and force that decision within 10 seconds.
Wodar does
not
swap
be the case.
Wodar swaps at a 35% rate. That is unusually high for SCL, certainly, and bugs at a very low rate, too. So swap is on brand for Wodar. And look at this. The seduce is done. We've got 3 missions done and 2 minutes left. At this point, even an aggressive swapper Purloin might not induce a shot, because who would be done this quickly? The answer is Wodar, potentially. He's eyeing up the Ambassador. No, we're going to go back into statues. That 35% swap rate might be coming into play here, even if Jake sees it. If he's not right on it, that's going to be a fingerprintable statue. But if he's not right on it, he's only going to have 10 seconds to shoot, and it's hard to shoot this early for something like that. But he's gonna, for one fingerprint, maybe just assume he missed the other.
Yeah, thinking this character is just this Irish, walking around a lot, doing a lot of things right now. Maybe saw the split. Newer players do tend to dislike split.
Banana bread.
So probably a bit more suspicion from that. And Wodar gets shot, and Jake starts to bring it back a little.
Totally agree. I would say newer players very suspicious of split, maybe even too suspicious, but in this case, it works to their advantage. Wodar does complete fingerprint quite a bit too, over 30% of the time. So if Jake did his research, he might have been banking on it, and it's reasonable to assume you might have missed one because that would be the finish. Wodar with a very aggressive spy game, and instead it's going to be a second loss in a row. Now it's going to be Jake as Salmon in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And if you buy into the character Yomi, perhaps this is not the character pick, or is it? You know, that since Damon was just misshot last time. And look at that immediate highlight. We're still AI controlled, but this is Wodar, you know, to an extreme. He will highlight for pretty much anything he finds suspicious early on, and going right into statues afterwards is not helping Jake's case.
No, it does not, but it was under AI control, as you mentioned. It looked like maybe a redirect into a quick flirt, a quick talk entering there next to Twin. We probably don't have any reason to be next to Bling Twin, although unfortunately the other Twin is our seduction target, so it's entirely possible that this will actually end up working out for Wodar anyway, even though it was just AI behavior with what looked like an early flirt. A lot of people take that cheap early flirt on Courtyard, and it can be exploitable when you look for that instead of rushed hardtails. Speaking of hardtails, there's going to be a bug attempt. Jake's going to walk right through the conversation. Wodar's all over it, maybe owing to that early highlight. After the highlight on AI control, going to statues, then going to windows, then going to bug, there was no reason for Wodar to look anywhere else. I mentioned he will get fixated on things. That includes characters, and in this case, he fixated on the spy, stops the bleeding, gets the win he needs.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Jake there, did not see the double agent coming in. That would have redirected him straight to that conversation, making the bug even more obvious if it wasn't already enough from Wodar staring directly at his glowing face, and get shot for it.
Yep, and it's going to be Wodar now with a 4-2 lead, has stopped the little mini losing streak and has a chance to extend his lead further, playing his ponytail on Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And Wodar's going to get dumped to statues and quickly adjust onto the pad. It's not really visible in the time of chaos, but it was on screen. We're going to immediately swap it. It's a green. It might be muscle memory. That's not the way you want to do that. You might want to do a white, if anything, but you're trying to rush. It's in the moment. You're scrolling through action priorities. You see the bar come up. Maybe you just hit it. Can't imagine it was intentional, but he's going to have 2 missions done, and the ST comes to us. 1 flirt as well. A rush is the only way we win this at this point.
Yeah, oh no, we go to Windows, but our cooldown is not done yet. There it goes.
That's what's going to hurt you. He needed that flirt so that he could banana bread and then go get another flirt. Instead, it's going to take 2 more, and if this gets narrowed down, though, he might only need to flirt for the win, but even that might be too much if Jake is on this. Second flirt comes off. The swap has taken place. No reaction from Jake yet. This might just be counterintuitive enough. Can he really shoot Wodar for a timer flirt here with 2+ minutes left? No lowlights have come out yet, although Jake notoriously does not focus much on lowlights for banana breads or other things, does not generally take them. It has burned him in games in the past, most notably in the finals, the Challenger tiebreak with Tabsies. He won that anyway, but it was a problem for him occasionally, and in this case, it looks like Wodar's probably in a dominating position. He's not going to overthink this, though. He's just going to wait this out.
Yeah, and imagine if Wodar had either 2 greened his flirts or had gotten that flirt at Windows. This game would be over by a long margin. Not enough time for Jake to shoot, but unfortunately because that flirt wasn't done, Jake has a little bit more time to catch the swap and think, hey, that's wrong.
Stop
but
talk!
Now we only have 10 seconds.
That might have been it. I don't know if that was why. It really didn't seem like Jake was a big enough suspect to shoot there. As you mentioned, could have 2-flirted, no way to know. But in that case, I think the stop talk might have been overthinking it just a little bit from Wodar. Might not have had any idea what kind of suspect he was for the swap. Might have thought he was a huge one. Might have been a huge one from our perspective. It looked like a normal talk might have been enough there. But whatever it is, that looked like a very winnable game. The white swap might have worked too. So many things to second guess in that game. And Jake stays close.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it might have actually just been the stop talk of Jake. Newer players, including Jake, and Jake is a very good newer player, I'll note, would not be in the tournament position otherwise. Sometimes apply those suspicions very, very heavily to the first kind of things that are spy-like BB splits and those stop talks. So it's not unusual.
Yep, and it's the kind of thing that gets noticed even if it's a perfectly valid stop talk, even if you're interrupt. It's the kind of thing spies still like to do quite a bit. That is a really big win for Jake because, as you mentioned, Wodar, a tie is a win. So if you're Jake, you can't let this get out of hand. And frankly, you have a chance to bring it even right here, albeit as spy on Courtyard. as green dress in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Wodar's
Well,
sniper suffered this season. 49% sniper rate. First time he's ever dipped below 50% in 5 seasons up in the rarefied air of gold. And that's something that Jake is going to try to exploit right here.
And you did mention that Jake had a 2/3 spy win rate on Courtyard, so I hesitate to say Courtyard spy biased, but for Jake, that might actually be the case.
Might actually be true, and just spy biased in general. Yeah. It's at lower levels, we sometimes see players with higher spy win rates than sniper win rates, but in Jake's case, the split is well nigh unprecedented. 75% win rate is spy, just 53% on sniper. Spy is where he makes his money. That's a contact. That's a pretty good one. I see only 2 lowlights have come off. There's 1 flirt too, though. This is pretty standard progress so far.
Yeah, only a few lowlights for that, despite the fact that there were a lot available. So Wodar kind of missing out Oprah for Red Dress, for example, our seduction target. Currently a highlight, could have been a lowlight right now. And that's really unfortunate for Wodar. It just increases that mental load that you have to keep tracking this character that otherwise you might not have had to.
Yep, and Jake sidles up next to the Ambassador. He has a drink in that hand, though, so there's nothing to be suspicious about. He's going to take a flirt this time, not next to his ST. He's going to get to 61%, and that is dangerous territory. A close white will not get it done next time, but he's hit his ATs pretty well this match so far. So still plenty of time here, but we're under 2 minutes. We haven't decided what we want to do for our hardtail yet, and it feels like we've been on screen a lot because, in part, we're next to that Ambassador.
Yeah, we'll see if we go for the bug here. That it is Courtyard, so it's really all about that hardtail sometimes, and so far, neither player has really made those hardtails work. Jake stepping in for the statues here.
Yeah, gonna get his inspects, and this is a difficult fingerprint. This might determine how he tries to finish the game, whether or not he hits this. Big action test coming up for Jake. Is he gonna hit it? He does! And there's a decent chance Wodar won't be crediting that, and now he's got to look around for a fingerprint. The briefcase is down on the ground. You might want to sidle up next to that Ambassador again, make them leave. Instead, he's going to take the flirt instead. It is a white, 95% with a minute left. That is absolutely huge. You need to leave and come back. You need to chase that Ambassador away. You got to find a fingerprint somewhere, and you got to find a flirt too. But we're probably not a huge suspect. We are one of only 3 highlights, including our seduction target and Orange Sorry, who is inherently suspicious, as we all know. The Ambassador leaves. Briefcase opportunity. Jake is not going to waste any time. Going to pick it up right away. Wodar does not seem interested. He is guarding the Ambassador on the other side. Really good chance Jake has gotten away with fingerprint here, and 1 flirt is going to do it in the waning seconds of this game. That's too close for a put down, I'm almost sure, but again, no indication from Wodar. ST moving from windows. We're bumping into them. We moved too soon. We didn't see where they were going first, and they are walking away. They're in a conversation now. We're going to chase them. We're going to be talking with about 20 seconds left, but if we don't get shot for this, it's a pretty aggressive flirt, but if you're not top suspect, I don't think you die for it. Jake takes a few seconds, talks, and Wodar's taking low lights. That's going to be the game. Jake is going to tie this up.
Yeah, only 5 seconds to take this shot. It's just not going to happen at this point. If you're not shooting for that talk, you're not shooting at all. And honestly, this is why hitting those green flirts can be so huge. Just because if you never give Wodar that opportunity to shoot you for that talk if you hit the green earlier. And flirt, that pacing mission, a lot of people have trouble with, and can give the sniper an extra opportunity to take a shot that maybe they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But this time it doesn't punish Jake and comes away tying up the set.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, hitting that fingerprint totally changed the trajectory of the game, made a lot of things possible. Don't see how he would have finished inconspicuously otherwise. And you're right, Jake does not have the usual challenger mission spread. He doesn't struggle to complete Seduce the way so many other new players do. Even in the next few divisions above challenger, that's the case. He completes contact and Seduce about 2/3 of the time. Struggled with it just a little bit here, but got it done. The difficult fingerprint helps tie the match up. And now we are all knotted up after a 3-0 Wodar lead going into Aquarium, where Wodar will play as Salmon in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I would say we've seen a lot of Salmon, but this is only the second Salmon we've seen. We saw
Salmon die, yeah. Oh, that's a little bit of a problem on pad. Wodar has had 2 issues like that now. One on Courtyard, I believe, as Ponytail, and now Salmon at Bar, but it's Aquarium. There's a lot going on. It's not a very profitable thing to be looking for. Wodar's going to sip the drink, and let's see if he's eyeing up any frame targets or if he's just going to give himself a delegate option. Middle shark coming across. Wodar not interested. He wants to get a flirt done instead.
Yeah, with that middle shark, we could have stopped by in that conversation, quickly delegated, and then ran away. However, this bar is really big, so that actually would have been a pretty good play going into it. Not sure how well Jake is memorizing this. We do purloin to our ST just now.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh. I'm going to seduce you, and then I'm going to try to get you shot. That's ruthless spy efficiency there. Look, it's an ugly job.
Banana bread.
And the banana bread's going to go off. That's going to knock out the ST, and Wodar's just going to hope that it was totally unseen. Instead, he's not going to hope for a shot on the ST. The purloin has come off. A third of the flirt is done. Contact is done. Jake, though, tellingly does not take the low light. I mentioned this is something about Jake earlier. He does not actually take most of the out-of-conversation lowlights. He'd rather focus on the affirmative, see who's talking, see who's doing stuff, cover for bugs, things like that. Does not actually take the lowlights, and it's burned him in the past, and it might this time. That's a green flirt near our ST. 80% now. The ST leaves. That makes it even better. Wodar still needs to find another mission, but he's got 2.5 minutes, and the flirt is virtually done.
Yeah, and to go back to Jake not taking the lowlights, my best guess as to why that does not happen is that Jake prefers to offload the, you're not a suspect anymore because you were out of contact during BB, offload that to memory instead of using the lowlights, just in case you might lowlight a spy that is split, and you can keep a better eye on the whole party, their animations, and maybe catch a spy that you wouldn't have otherwise. However, it is something that can burn you, as you said.
Yeah, so finishes the flirt at bookshelves. One of the things that might help you catch that spy is if they collide ruthlessly with that couch, which is what happened there. Very inefficient route from Wodar, and it was all on screen. He's going to go get a fingerprint now, and just like that other game where Wodar was trying to figure out what that fourth mission was going to be, seems to want to be fingerprint, but there is no fingerprint on this case, and he collides with the ambassador semi behind the shark, does not get a bug or even an attempt out of it, and Jake is lining up a shot on General, though, going for the same fingerprintless briefcase, and it's Aquarium, man. Sometimes that's all you need to say. Wodar gets a very important win after blowing that early 3-0 lead. He is up 5-4.
Yeah, in general, even without a shark in the way, General can be suspected for things like bug. And I'm not surprised that General is going to get shot here in the end.
Yeah, it would seem
at least of the characters that could be shot.
It would seem to validate Wodar's strategy there. He knocked out the person he was purloining to with the banana bread, hoping instead that the general confusion would mean that Jake had no idea who did it, rather than leaning into that 50-50. And that seems to be what happened. The purloin gone, willing to credit general or whoever was at bar potentially for it. No real idea who did it, which means a little late activity gets someone shot. That's what happens here. Jake now behind again after finally pulling even. Chance to tie it up again as Red Dress in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And Aquarium is very interesting because it's, I believe, the only 4 of 8 venue that has 4 minutes at the start of the round. So you've got a lot of time. However, it's a pretty big venue, a la, Modern. You got a lot of walking to do. Not quite as large as Modern, but that time management can get to you. Similar to Modern and Gallery like that.
Jake goes to green bookshelves and flirts while sipping, I call that. The ventriloquist, pickup line while you're sipping. Nice if you have the talent for it. Gotta walk away with the green book, which is very interesting. Might use it as an excuse to go back, break up the flirt, or might actually wait a while and dump it in blue. We're gonna have to wait and see, no indication yet. Gonna get another flirt. This one's gonna be green, 74%, and we are almost done with the flirt already. Over 3 minutes left, and there are some early statue visitors here. 4 highlights already. And that's really good for Jake, who, as I mentioned, gets about half his spy wins on Civ shots.
Yeah, but it's not really surprising to see Wodar with a lot of highlights early. Does just tend to do, highlight for anything he finds suspicious. Those statue visits, getting a fingerprint, early talks even, will pick up highlights from Wodar. So, is very comfortable playing a game where there are a lot of suspects, or seeming to be a lot of suspects on the screen. So we'll see if that can translate into, winning as sniper here for Wodar, or if that glut of highlights is going to punish, and Jake will get that Civ shot he wants.
It's always very risky when you have to highlight for multiple things and then sort of remember later what it was because they can be mutually exclusive. Jake is still holding on to this book, and he is making his way across the venue. You know what this means, Opie. We talked about this in a casual game once. When you take the book and you go from one conversation to the next and keep moving your way over, that is like cleaning the book. It looks really, really likely at this point that that's going to get dumped in blue at some point.
Yeah, we were stepped into a conversation with our double agent for just a moment, probably looking for that, but our double agent runs away, and I think you're right. This is looking like it's just going to go right into blue. Jake is kind of eyeing it up on the replay spy camera right now, like thinking, when can I do this? Top Shark is here, so you're not doing it behind shark cover.
And you don't want to do behind shark cover because you don't need the microfilm. It's basically, you're not really hoping to not be seen there at all. Notable, by the way, the white dress has been to 2 different statue sets and does not even have a highlight yet. It's apparently not a suspect. Wodar's mercurial highlight strategies actually helping him in this case by not leading him astray to suspect an AI. The microfilm is done, no indication at all from Wodar. That's a walking bug from Jake behind the shark's tail. The hand just a little bit visible. We're going to go back to green shelves, though. Very counterintuitive. Why would you do that after microfilm? If there's a fingerprint here, it makes sense. Otherwise, I think we're just trying to lose a little heat after that bug path. Who bugs when you only have the benefit of the back of the shark? It's EkajArmstro, that's who, and we've got one more mission to go, and contact is still on the table. We haven't even baked our banana bread yet.
Yeah, Jake, as Wodar, you kind of have to assume that bug happened. There was enough cover. The arm was facing away from you. There's just not much you're going to be able to see. Our double agent is not in conversation right now, so we can't finish that way currently. But I think Jake is looking and eyeing him up, seeing, going to follow him wherever he goes.
Just entered, but you have to go right next to the ambassador to get this done, and that's a little suspicious. And it doesn't matter. Ponytail's going to get shot. Once again, we have a game that looked like the spy was about to win via mission win progress, but it turns on the Civ shot instead. Jake, in that case, doesn't look like he was banking on the Civ shot, but that's what he gets. That's what he's gotten most of the season. Like I said, it's Aquarium, man. Jake keeps even. 5-5, and remember, a tie is a win for Wodar, so this isn't good enough. When you were down 5-4, you'll take it, and especially when you're down 3-0 early. Now we are going to move on to Pub. Wodar is going to spy first as General. This is 3-5. Bug is off, Swap is off. So this is the frame-heavy mission setup. We'll be starting in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And if there's any venue where you're pretty likely to be able to swing 2-0 in your favor as Jake, this is one of them. Pub can be very reliant on variance, because you can see a lot of AIs will go to those statues, finish up that one inspect, and then you've got to be... Ooh. We did a time ad. And now we're a highlight, and there are many lowlights. This is not great for Wodar.
No, it is not, but I mentioned, yeah, the sniper can't predict what you're going to do when you maybe don't know yourself, maybe an impulsive decision, but sometimes that's what makes Wodar so formidable. In this case, though, I think Jake might have burned him for it. We're going to delegate this Purloin, and because we already have 3 lowlights, and because he's one of, I believe, 2 highlights, you know he's going to be watching him like a hawk here with this Purloin. Hard to imagine he's going to get away with it, even with another one of those patented stop talks.
Yeah, and
moves into conversation.
Doesn't... Oh no.
ST leaves immediately.
Ain't no sunshine.
Nope. And we have no flirts done. We actually have nothing done at all other than a delegate in our pocket and a time ad, which has been visible to the sniper. And even with that extra time now, already things are looking rough. That's going to be a real banana bread. Let me see here. Only, I think, 6 people maybe could have a real one. But we didn't let off, I think, any more than 1 hard low light, which Jake is not going to take, as is his wont, mentioned earlier. Wodar's going to chase that ST down instead and try to get this first flirt in. And suddenly, even with that time at, oh no, Queen leaves again. They are an age-appropriate couple, but she's not having any of it. She says, I have important things to do. I am a monarch, after all. We delegate to Smallman instead. He's a cast member, and the timer expires almost immediately. So that whole trip to the bar was for nothing, as were both trips to see our seduction target. We're going to go get another drink.
We break an animation, leaving that conversation there, which not always going to be punished, usually not punished, but on Pub, when you're a highlight and there's nothing else around to be looking at, especially not a bug, that can be pretty noticeable. Unfortunately for Jake, not catching that. Fortunately for Wodar, though. Wodar did lead... Oh, come on, Queen!
Getting a drink after being spurned by a potential lover, a pretty common thing, but Wodar decides the lineup bar is too long, I don't need the drink that bad, goes for another seduce instead, and it doesn't happen, and yep, he's just going to get shot for the statue visit. Jake is just not going to wait around. He's pretty sure the time ad clearly was just waiting for something, not willing to believe that he didn't miss something anyway. That game was probably over before it started. That might make Wodar feel a little better after the ST spurned him time and time again.
Yeah, the time ad really did get punished by Jake, and, you know, it's not something that usually happens. You don't need time ads on 3 of 5 venues, or you don't even need time ads on pretty much any venue, but they do happen sometimes. Jake on top of it and able to pull that out to, I believe this is the first lead of his in the set.
Yeah, 6-5. I can't believe it. He's got a lead, and he's going to need it because, and again, I'm just going to keep repeating it. Wodar wins with a tie. Jake playing from behind as the challenger, as the lower seed. And here we go. Now it's starting to feel like a trend. Jake is salmon in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And this time, Bug is on and Purloin is off.
Yeah, Bug is such a strong mission that turning it off is kind of inadvisable sometimes. However, a lot of people on pub think, okay, the angles for Bug, the places I can maybe get a Bug, are really just not good enough to make this mission worth it against a good sniper. And so perhaps I want to instead up the chances of an AI dying. In this case, though, Jake does want his Bug possibility on.
Yeah, and originally, Wodar bringing out the bar highlights, but bumps them both back down to neutral. Very interesting. Seems to be mixing it up just a little bit here. I think the highlights might have actually been for flirt pairing again, because we saw Wodar do that earlier in the set already on Courtyard. I was also with Salmon. We know it was AI control and not their ST, but Wodar didn't know that at the time. We are going to go try to flirt though right afterwards, and that's going to get Wodar's attention, I think. Temporarily highlighting them for a possible flirt, which was correct. And then they end up in the same conversation next to each other again. And boy, it sure feels like Wodar's looking at him here. ST bails. Oh boy, it's not working for anyone on pub today, is it? Nobody's got any game. Jake, I thought it was a red flirt for a second, but no, the ST just bailed, waited a little too long. Jake has waited on these flirts quite a bit, and it has burned him more than once.
Yeah, and the waiting on the flirt, it makes a sense when you think that they don't like stop talks, they don't like instant talks, and are willing to shoot for it, as we saw in Courtyard. So that waiting on the flirt makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, gets burned for it here as the ST leaves, and surprisingly, pub not a great place to to find any love. Oh my.
Or any bugs. Wodar sees the reverse drive-by. Those are almost always the inadvisable ones because they're the ones you don't have time to plan or think about. Jake just goes for it. And yeah, I agree with the flirt. Obviously, Wodar trying to flirt pair, so it makes sense to wait. But in this case, if you're going to be careful, you might not want to follow them the conversation in the first place. Jake gave Wodar every reason to stare at him all game to ensure that bug was caught. And I think it might have been caught anyway. And the lead that Jake finally managed with that last game has evaporated immediately. 6-6. And Wodar can again just split from here on out. And on Modern, you have just the venue for it. Wodar going to spy first, though, as Cowboy. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, on Modern, a very, very heavily sniper-favored venue. Hard to get spy wins. Oh, we go for the bug! We go for 2 bugs! It just doesn't land! I don't think we're a suspect for it, though, so it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue for Wodar.
2 bugs, waving at the sniper with both hands basically early on, but there's a lot of early activity, and I don't see any indication, again, from Jake that he's seen it. However, we wouldn't necessarily because he doesn't usually take those lowlights or highlights sometimes. That's a green microfilm with a little bit of cover in the far right. That is the easiest shelf to get away with microfilm from generally, so the hard part of the mission is still yet to come. Wodar going to start in on another mission, though. Going to go right for a fingerprintable briefcase right afterwards. And he's going to get it.
You need to stop here. You got to put this down. And Wodar does know. It happens a little bit late, but I think that's fine. Jake's not going to punish him for it.
Yep.
The specifics of briefcase can be an enigma even to players with a lot of time in this game. So not surprising that no suspicion was applied for these very slightly wrong briefcase.
Usually close is good enough for briefcase unless you're up against an absolute master, and Jake, as good as he is, not there yet, certainly, with the briefcase, and I'm not sure I'd advise him to try to become one just yet either. Wodar jams himself in between Smallman and a seduction target buns, but it doesn't matter because it's late in the game, so we haven't been flirt paired, it doesn't look like a flirt, and it's just a white test, and now Wodar has half of microfilm, a third of flirt, and half of fingerprint done. Might be on the radar a little bit, but this is really steady, good progress from Wodar with a lot of options here in the late game.
Yeah, and this is, giving me a little bit of flashbacks to a checker game that I think we've all seen before. If we can't finish these missions, but we do have plenty of time to wrap them up. That first microfilm, I don't think you can even suspect it at all unless you're crediting it just because of how much cover there was, plus it was a green. So Wodar completely clean on that. I honestly think that the only thing you've got so far on Wodar is just this fingerprint and this walk away.
Yeah, and to walk away from the bar, Wodar has done that twice now when the lines were too long. Surprising with that delegate in his pocket. We're going to go for real banana bread. Wodar always gets this done. He has an 86% contact rate. It's one of the highest in SCL. He always makes a point to do it. He's going to relatively split here, but it was while Jake was getting a statue low light. Jake actually taking the low light that time, maybe because it was a statue visitor in particular, thought it was particularly valuable, but Wodar did split, which was so suspicious potentially earlier on that courtyard game. He's going to jam his way into here with his seduction target. He's not going to be close enough, but he is going to hit the green to make up for it, 84%, which means the next flirt is going to get it done for Wodar. We still have 2 minutes left and a lot of ways to finish here.
Yeah, and critically, there is a currently fingerprint on red, but it's going to be smudged by this low-lit plane twin returning a book.
Yep.
But we're not going to go for it. We're not going to try to get there and
the purloin has come off in the meantime, by the way. That was not just a walk-away. That was a purloin delegate walk-away cheese, basically, which was executed very, very well, I think. And there's a decent chance he's kind of gotten away with this. No, I'm totally wrong. Totally wrong. That narrowed it down for Jake. Jake is on it, maybe because of the fingerprint or maybe just all over the purloin. Remember, the purloin stymied him so much in that aquarium game. Maybe he was sitting on it this time. I got to admit, made me look silly. I thought Wodar was in a dominating position there, but Jake sussed it out.
Yeah, apparently that briefcase was actually something that Jake was very suspicious of, according to Wodar and Jake in chat. So, wow. Actually, pretty impressive catch from Jake then. The fact that he was able to, catch that and turn that into a sniper win. A little bit confusing for us casters since you don't actually highlight for it, but it's fun.
That's okay. Play the way you want to play. We'll do our best to figure it out after the fact, but impressive that a challenger would notice at that point. I think if that happened late in the game, not so bad, but in this case, it gave Jake a reason to look at him early, and once you start looking and you see all that bouncing around and you see that reject and you see that purloin, that can be reason enough. That felt like a really good game from Wodar, but one tiny mistake that happened early in the game, Jake was onto him for. And now Jake is spying as Duke in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And we did kind of expect this going into Modern, lots of sniper wins, so Jake, it's honestly not super surprising. It looked like a good game, though, as it was shaping up. Still managed to make that sniper win happen, but the real test is going to be if he can make the spy side on Modern happen and force a couple of a couple of match points for him on the last venue.
Jake rushes to bar with his seduction target, gets a green flirt early on. Bar highlights may be coming out from Wodar, or they could be flirt highlights because that's a good spot to flirt early on. And in this case, he's right either way because the spy is in that group. We'll see how those highlights change over time. If they change sooner rather than later, they're flirt highlights. If they take about a minute to decay, then they're probably bar highlights. Either way, Jake is going to take his time. We'll see if he follows the ST. He's got a lot of options here. It's still early.
Yeah, those look like bar highlights to me, but as you said, we will get a very sure picture of whether or not they're bar highlights. After a minute, we do a little bit of a delegate. We just walk in a conversation, immediately delegate, and walk out. That is a hard tell. There's no AI that would ever do that. So if it's caught, you can just get shot for it. But looks like that's not the case this time.
Well, we'll see what Wodar does. Happens. Very aggressive. Yeah, gets it done very quickly. Salmon picks up a highlight for taking the list, and that's an indication that Jake is, at worst, one of several people. It looks like Wodar was indeed using them for bar highlights because here come the lowlights. So he has it narrowed down, but it doesn't feel like he has it down to Jake. I think because he took the bar highlights, he decided, therefore, I don't actually want to watch them that closely. I'll be okay with just narrowing it down. Here's the problem, though. It hasn't actually narrowed it down that much. There are 7 highlights now.
Yeah, and here comes, it looks like Wodar's about to neutral light everybody, or probably should, honestly, just to be able to free up those highlights for something else now. However, narrowing it down this early on Modern can be deadly. AIs barely, get enough mission progress to be that big of a suspect anyways, so when you narrow it down to just a few like this, really, before you've got anything else done, it's super hard to get by the sniper at that point. However, ST is helping us out a little bit by going statue to statue right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you have to hope for. You need one of those highlights to go to, I'd say, statues at least twice in this case. In this case, it's going to be the spy instead. You can't resist the allure, the siren call of the flirt inspect combo. We're going to get both done. Seduce is done. Inspects are about to finish, it looks like. There we go. We've got 2 minutes left to do 2 missions. For those of you who aren't math majors, that's a mission a minute, and that's plenty of time on Modern.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Wodar does bring down the rest of the party that's not low-lit to neutral lights, keeping the highlights on just us and our seduction target. So we are, one of the two biggest suspects currently in the party. And with 2 missions left to go, that can be pretty rough.
Absolutely right. But one of those missions is contact, and if we time it well, we can get the ST in with us. But we might not have a good sense of who the other suspects are. We know there was a bar rush early, but we don't necessarily know who's in this suspect pool with us. Double agent in the conversation here. We have one neutralite in with us, but the highlight is not. He's walking around. Jake sure seems to be eyeing him up, though. He sure seems to be watching his seduction target and the ambassador. He's waiting for just the right moment, showing the same patience he's shown on those flirts. This time, very prudent. But how long can you wait? There's only a minute left. Now, it's a half a minute a mission. The ratio has been cut in half. One of them you can do in an instant if the DA doesn't leave, but what's the other one going to be?
Yeah, and
DA leaves.
unfortunately, oh no.
We
And
waited a good 30
unfortunately-
seconds there, and it burned us. What are we going to do? Purloin's already done. We're going to go for this briefcase. It looks, give ourselves some options, but it's awfully late in the game to be doing this. Got to imagine this might be leading into a bug even with the fingerprints. Let's see. Here we go. Ambassadors at Windows taking a sip of the drink. Briefcase.
Carrying the
Nope.
wrong...
Leaves.
Yeah, we couldn't have gotten a bug there that was not super obvious due to the fact that we were carrying it in the wrong hand. Those briefcases do get carried in the right hand, so you gotta...
This is going to have to be a book cheese, it looks like. He's going to take the book and immediately dump it in blue. Red to blue, boom, boom, just like that. Wodar's all over it. Too much too late after narrowing the party down. That's going to do it. Jake actually looked like he had a shot there, but he waited so long on the DA. The DA might have prompted a shot anyway, just as much. But we don't get a chance to find out. Wodar narrows the party down. Jake takes his time. The DA leaves. And look at that. 4 missions done. One of them super obvious and half a fingerprint done.
Yeah, and a little bit... my dog is just going crazy in the background.
It was an exciting end. I can empathize with your dog. They can sense the tension in the air that can only come from a 7-7 tie heading into gallery. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Wodar needs just one of these 2 games. Jake needs both. So this is match point for Wodar right here. Jake on sniper. Again, the game tends to be sniper favored, so could take this, but it's gallery, and gallery can be quite difficult to, you can get stuff by as the spy. It's not impossible.
It absolutely can. Jake has only played gallery a handful of times, has been mediocre as sniper in those small sample sizes, but he hasn't lost a spy game yet on gallery. Wodar 1 for 5 on gallery on both roles. That's 2 for 10 total, 1 on spy, 1 on sniper in 5 games each. This is not where he wanted to be settling this match, but it's where it's going to be settled. Wodar is Kane on gallery, needing 1 of 2 to win this match and play gatekeeper in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
Now, to be fair to Wodar, 4 of those games that you mentioned were against Yeesh. Gold, a first seed in gold currently, very, very strong, and Yeesh. This is Yeesh's favorite map, so I'm not surprised that you take some losses here as Wodar.
While you were praising your inevitable gold championship opponent, probably trying to sucker him into a false sense of security, Wodar bugged the ambassador at statue and has 37% on the flirt already.
Yeah, that bug was surprisingly good for kind of being out in the open. The Kane bug can be very strong. It got a little bit nerfed. It used to be much stronger, but it's not seen, and we're not a highlight. So, I mean, not being a highlight before has not stopped us from getting shot by Jake.
Kane's bug was Smallman before Smallman, and it's been nerfed a little bit on the Kane side, but it's still pretty darn powerful, and there's a lot of occlusion on gallery and a lot of activity early. Wodar gets that contact off. Again, I mentioned 86% of the time he completes contact, one of the highest rates in SCL. That lets off a few lowlights, but only 5 total. That's not bad for gallery. Wodar, though, is zipping around, and we saw this on Courtyard. Wodar seemed to get shot almost for pure activity that game, shot for 1 fingerprint even. That's the kind of thing Jake has seemed to have noticed. He seems to notice a lot of activity, and Wodar's being very, very aggressive here. I think he's convinced he got away with the bug and is trying to press his advantage. Being offered a drink now, thinks better of it with the bug already in hand. Probably wants another flirt here, but where's Teal going to settle? She settles there. Wodar settles next to a briefcase, and I believe there might be a fingerprint on this bookshelf. I'm not sure if Taft has smudged it yet. He is a low light. Wodar gets a fingerprinted book. Yep, no action test necessary. One
no,
done.
it was green.
Oh, no, you're right. It was green, and that's going to help Wodar out quite a bit. Look at this, though. Blue book in hand, seduce a third of the way done, fingerprint half done, but we are moving around a lot. 2 minutes left, and he's probably got to be worried about not finishing seduce on gallery, which is a major problem.
Yeah, something that was unfortunate about the contact earlier was that only the front conversation was real. The SDA was not in that back conversation, despite the fact that it was a very, very full conversation, and that's really unfortunate for Wodar because we did pick up the highlight for the real contact, and we could just get shot for that activity, as you said.
Yeah, so it was a decent gamble by Wodar to assume there was an SD in that back convo. He was playing the odds, but the odds were against him. And now, yes, only a handful of people could have that reel, but a lot of people have highlights, and Wodar has a lot of progress. He needs one more close flirt and one more fingerprint, but he is still moving around so much, and Jake is taking a high-level view of the party. If he's too aggressive about the second fingerprint, it could cause a lot of trouble. He's going to put this book back in blue, and we've got 55 seconds left. We are vulnerable right now to the ST bailing on us. And Wodar's going to start chasing, and his character's a little too fast. Collides with Sorry. That's actually going to help. You need Teal to settle in somewhere quickly. Where's she going to go? You can't tell from her path. She's not telegraphing her location. Wodar is just following right behind her. This is ugly. This is bad looking. She's going to take the last spot in that conversation, I think. No. Rocker leaves. Let's Wodar in. Has to insta-talk, though. 30 seconds left. And that's going to be enough for Jake. It's such an aggressive talk. He's all over it. And now Wodar has to snipe on gallery for the win.
Yeah, and we see again that instant talk getting punished by Jake. Wodar maybe not learning his lesson on Courtyard. Maybe that talk gets you shot anyways, but the stop talk definitely gets you shot there. And Jake brings it back. This last game will be the decider. Can Jake continue to make a run for bronze? Going win-win, or rather loss win-win-win, or will Wodar gatekeep?
Don't let the cane fool you. That character is actually very fast, and usually that's an asset. But when you're trying to follow behind your ST inconspicuously and you don't know where they're going, it's a problem. Wodar caught up to her, did that annoying little thing you do when you're walking with your friend. You step on the back of their sneaker very briefly. He did that 2 or 3 times with Teal, and it ended up leading to some difficult pathing issues that Jake seemed to notice and suss out there. Shot for the quick talk. And as has seemed to have been the case in so many finals and tournament matches so far, because of the tiebreaker, we are going into a final game knowing for a fact that the winner wins the match. It is Wodar on the sniper. Jake is on the spy as Taft. Could be some body blocking. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Oh, man. And, we always say sniper biased game, except for a couple of venues, but Gallery is not one of the very, very heavily sniper-biased ones. Gallery can be very overwhelming as the sniper, lots to look at once. There's this whole party right in view. How do you allocate that attention? And this, so Jake could take advantage of this to win this right here. On the other hand, Wodar needs to take control of this party, lock it down, and force a tie, which means he wins.
Jake gets a green flirt. He started off with green flirt so often this game, and he gets a pretty good contact too. The SDA is out front, but there aren't many people with her. That's the queen specifically. We have a mission and a half done, 3 minutes left. It's a pretty good start for Jake, though. Wodar does get a pretty decent number of lowlights there, including Smallman and Kane, 2 of the more suspicious, bug-worthy characters. Jake, though, is going to try a timer flirt here.
Yeah, 7 lowlights on gallery. Really hard to avoid a lot of lowlights on gallery with only 2 conversations to contact in, but 7 does seem to be a little bit above the average that you would want. However, Jake does get a nice 2 flirt, could just go for statue to statue and then use Taft's big body to swap the very front statue right now.
The 2 flirt makes that body block swap that much more powerful if it happens with about 2 minutes left. That is such a hard thing to be staring down, let alone shooting for within the 10 seconds. I think that might make sense, the timer flirt. Again, Jake has started off with a green flirt so often, but has not managed to 2 flirt, I think, maybe at any point. Might have been a balcony game in there early on, though. Jake, though, has now 2 of the inspects, and I think you're right, with 2 minutes left, if he goes to that front statue and inspect swaps, it's so hard to imagine Wodar's going to nail him for it. Jake is not going to do it. Very interesting. He's going to walk outside. Wodar is zoomed in, looking at the back, guarding both the guest list and the ambassador, who are both out there. That means Jake could get up to something out front if there was anything to get up to. But the briefcase is inside, the ambassador is inside, the guest list is inside, and the statues are inside, and we don't have any more use for the seduce. Jake is just going to kill a little time at windows and then go do what we just talked about. It's much less potent after waiting those 30 seconds, though. This is a fingerprintable statue, though. He doesn't have to resort to the swap. He could just do the inspect and wait. No, he's going to swap instead. It's a white. It is on screen, but Wodar is looking around. He's trying to get a view of it, but can you really expect him to be done this quick? You can't. 2 seconds left. Jake pulls it out by sweeping gallery.
Oh man, Jake kind of got my hopes up there for a second, almost doing the thing I said what he would do, and it would be a good finish. But then he does it anyways, and it works. Jake manages to win that spy game off the back of a strong 2 flirt at the beginning of the gallery, and then just finishing way before any sniper would really expect to be forced to look, hey, is this person swapping to finish right now? Usually you're looking for that in the last 45 seconds or so, not in the last minute and 30.
Yeah, a minute 30, and that's with killing 30 seconds at windows. I think he just wanted to break those inspects up. Might have been even more powerful if he'd done it sooner, but you can see the argument either way, and you can certainly see the argument now that he's done it, and now that we know it's worked. Wodar just needed a tie, but as I said, challengers are challenging. He has lost to the top 2 finishers in Challenger now, although that's nothing to sneeze at. It's pretty tough. They are obviously putting up a heck of a fight. Jake needs the last 2 on Gallery, gets them. Wodar's locked into silver either way, playing Gatekeeper, but Jake can still advance, and this is going to help his cause quite a bit. Very impressive win from the Challenger champion.
Yeah, and I believe that will be our cast for tonight. Then we're gonna wrap it up there. It's the one match, since it's the week.
Our esteemed host Yeesh has obviously been there on the replays. If there's anything he'd like to say, I'd welcome his analysis as well. Although I think I shouted most of it already.
The main thing was that probably the not highlighting on Pub is probably due to Wodar's strategy. His highlights are for bar, but Perlin was off on Pub, so that's probably the reason why he didn't go for those highlights. Besides that, it was a pretty interesting set. Just Wodar got caught being just a little bit too aggro, and Jake was punishing those really tiny mistakes. But overall, it was a really close set. I think it could have gone either way, especially with that 3-0 start on balcony.
Yeah, 3-0 start on balcony, and as you mentioned, aggro, Wodar seemed to be ahead in 2 or 3 spy games. There were 2 or 3 spy games there where it looked like he was going to win, and Jake pulled it out late on talks, stop talks, shot for late flirts. You don't see that too often. You definitely don't see that too often from challenger snipers, but we saw it here, and it made the difference. Hats off to both competitors for a hell of a set.
Absolutely, and if you want some more competitive SpyParty, we do upload the Twitch VODs to YouTube, or you can just check out the Twitch channel at twitch.tv/SpyParty, this one that you're watching right now. You can also find a bunch of stats on the wonderful site that my co-caster Warning Track runs, spypartyfans.com, under the competitive tab. And as far as casts for the rest of the coming up in this weekend, we'll have 2 casts on Saturday, one on Sunday, showcasing the 1-0 bracket of the tournament position for this week. Lots of very hype matches there. Who can get to gold is going to be, the main story there. Also, we're going to have a special cast of the gold finals live tomorrow at 5 p.m. EDT. So don't miss that.
Yeah, speaking of gold and speaking of co-casters, the people playing in that gold final will be my co-caster Opie and our esteemed host Yeesh. Do you have any WWE style promos you want to cut here? Any trash talk? Any disrespect? Anything at all? Anything exciting, really? Or are you going to be annoyingly respectful and humble like most SpyParty players?
Well, I would.
Trying to calculate which is more
and,
strategically advantageous.
Yeah,
right?
I would go and trash talk, but I'm not good at doing that in voice. Let me type out some trash talk and I'll get back to you. But other than that, good luck to Yeesh. I hope it's gonna be a good match.
Yeah, I might be wise not to trash talk someone with a 90% sniper win rate. In this case, you might want to take them by surprise instead. Either way, I expect a tremendous match from the both of you, and I will be casting it, as a matter of fact. I believe it'll be Dowsy and myself, and I can't wait. If no one has anything else, Yopi, Yeesh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for casting, and yeah, absolutely. Come catch me playing Opie tomorrow. I'll make sure to give it a 90% chance of winning. We'll just say that. Just a
This
mild
is pretty
trash
good
talk.
odds.
All right, mild trash talk. I like it.
Mild trash talk.
Humble but trash talk. You know,
trash talk in
friendly.
line with his
Yeah.
win rate.
Yeah. Friendly trash talk. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Come check out the stream tomorrow. All right. Bye.